The island of Sodor has a long and rich nautical history. Many of the bustling ports began as simple fishing harbours and small quays. Big ships come and go every day, picking up and delivering passengers for the engines to take around the island. One day, Gordon and James were told to bring passengers to attend the launching of a brand new cruise liner. Gordon was chosen to take most of the people, and James was chosen to take the mayor and the fat controller. As the celebrations got underway, the two engines stared up at the tall, gleaming liner. "It looks like a palace," said James. "Not much use for a floating palace," replied Gordon. He was jealous of James because he took the mayor, but he didn't show it. "A big fancy boat is nice for people, I suppose, but not for engines." James laughed. "How do you know unless you've tried?" "Pah! Me? Travel on water? Nonsense." As the liner slid down its slipway and into the water, all the people cheered. James watched as the magnificent liner sat like a swan, its black hull sparkling with the sunlight off the waves. "It looks splendid," sighed James. "I should like to travel by boat." "You'd be stuck in the cargo hold," huffed Gordon. "I've heard it's damp, smelly, and dark. You, little James, were built to run on rails, not to be tossed about in the belly of a boat. Now stop being so silly." As the passengers began to board the coaches again, James felt soured by Gordon's grumpiness. "Stupid thing," he muttered to himself. What would Gordon know about travelling by sea? A few days later, James was given the job of escorting Spencer, the Duke and Duchess of Boxford's private engine, to the docks. He had developed cracks in his frames, and the Duke wanted him to go back to the mainland for special repairs. Whilst waiting for Spencer's boat, the two made small talk. "These ghastly repairs will take some time," grumbled Spencer. "The poor Duke and Duchess will be forced to use one of you should they want to go anywhere." "I still don't get why you can't go to the works," said James. "Of course not," sniffed Spencer. "Being a private engine requires special attention." "I know all about that," replied James crossly. "It takes a lot of work to look as good as me." "You mean as garish as you?" James' crew were given the all clear to shunt Spencer to Cranky so he could be safely loaded into the boat. Spencer groaned. "Good grief, here we go. I only hope the crossing is smooth." "I think going by boat looks fun," said James. "Don't you like it?" "Not a bit." "Gordon says it's silly for an engine to travel by boat. He thinks they're stuck in a smelly damp hole." "What do you think it is?" asked Spencer. James pondered. "I don't really know," he admitted. "Maybe it's feeling the sea breeze on your boiler or watching the sun make the waves sparkle. Those things really do sound splendid. Gordon doesn't know what he's missing." "My cousin can often be wrong," Spencer replied, "but he's not wrong about boats. You're thinking of liners for people. Engines, if they must be subjected to sea travel, are put into the cargo hold of freighters. They are, as you crudely put it, smelly damp holes. We are slaves to the currents, sometimes bouncing about, or sometimes being tossed upside down and sideways, and if a ship is ever in danger—" Spencer cut himself off. "Gresley forbid what should happen then," he said dramatically. "It is too terrible to think of." James looked on as Spencer was hoisted into the air, swung over the deck, and lowered out of sight. He didn't like the sound of the silver engine's descriptions at all. It wasn't just that he would be kept in a cargo hold. He wondered what Spencer had meant when he had cut himself off. It all sounded frightening. So what if Spencer says engines are put in holes? James frowned. They wouldn't dare do that to me. I'd travel my sea in style, and I know I'd love it. James was now more determined than ever to prove Spencer and Gordon wrong. Meanwhile, Bill and Ben were organising a train to take up to Wellsworth. The twins had begun arguing about how to arrange it. I keep telling you, huffed Ben, loaded vans go at the back. They go at the front, snapped Bill. If they go at the back, they squish the wagon to the front. How do you know that? My driver told me so. Well, your driver is wrong. No, he isn't. Is too. Is not. Is too. Is not. Would one of you please finish sorting this train? Cried a very fed-up workman. It has to leave in 10 minutes. Bill did so, but he was so cross with Ben that he wasn't paying attention. When an engine changes points, they follow a guardrail which helps them change direction safely. It can be easy for engines to derail, so care must be taken, especially over the guardrail, which can be delicate. As Bill was shunting the vans towards the front of his train, one of the workmen realized he had forgotten to turn the points. He ran to reach them but wasn't quick enough. There was a sharp crack, and the guardrail came off and pierced the bottom of the van like a needle through fabric. Bill saw the van lurch and braked. The van itself derailed and sat askew over the points. When the dock manager saw what had happened, he was very cross. Not only has your arguing caused delay, he said, you've damaged the last set of points leading out of the docks. Now nothing can get in or out until a new guardrail can be brought here. You mean? Asked Bill. We'll be stuck here all night? Added Ben. No more passengers or goods coming out of here until tomorrow at worst, fumed the dock manager. The Fat Controller will not be happy with either of you two. The Fat Controller sat in his office finishing the day's work when he got the call. What? Bill and Ben have broken the points to the docks? Not even the Flying Kipper? Oh, bother. James is trapped there too? Right. I'll have some men work through the night. We must get those points repaired. James was furious at the news. Blast those twins! It's bad enough they're a menace on their own, but now they go and break the track too? We're just as annoyed as you, said his driver. We've got a longer journey home than usual. At least you two get to go home. I'm stuck here all night. You might like it, James, chuckled the fireman, smelling the nice sea air, no grumbling from Gordon or Henry. All the noise and smelly fish. Yuck! Alright, princess. See you tomorrow then. You too? James watched in disbelief as his crew parked them, dropped his fire, picked up their belongings, and walked up the line. He was grumpy about being left behind. His mood got worse when the twins parked close by. Hello, James, they chorused. The pair of you are not going to say anything to me. James snarled. You scallies are the ones who caused this, so I don't want anything to do with you. Fine then, said Bill, offended. Suit yourself, muttered Ben. Bill? Yes, Ben? What's a skelly? I don't know. It sounds rather rude, doesn't it? It does too. It must be rude if James used it on us. Why not ask him then? I'm not asking him, Bill. You ask him. You heard his tone, Ben. You ask him. You do it. You do it. It means you're both hooligans, snapped James. Now shut up and go to sleep. Bill and Ben stayed quiet, but they were both cross. They felt hurt at James calling them hooligans. After all, they hadn't meant to break the guardrail. As they began thinking how to pay James out, Bill remembered something. "Ben?" he whispered. "Yes, Bill? Did you hear what James said earlier? When he put Spencer on the boat?" "No, I didn't. What was that then?" Bill quickly explained to Ben what he had heard. Ben grinned cheekily at Bill. "We'll need some help. I'm sure Cranky wouldn't mind lending a helping hook." The twins left James sleeping and snuck away into the shadows. The next morning was cold and stormy. The rain hammered down and the seas were grey, choppy and rough. The huge ships bobbed about and clanked quietly against the dockside. James woke up slowly. He shivered, feeling very uncomfortable. His boiler was cold and he was drowsy and confused. Shouldn't his fire have been lit by now? And why were the rails so wobbly beneath him? James suddenly snapped to attention. "Where am I?" he gasped. "Having fun, James?" laughed a voice. James had been craned onto the deck of a cargo ship moored to the docks. He wasn't tied down, so he was at the mercy of the ship as it softly pitched and rolled. The red engine looked down at the rails below. Bill and Ben were howling with laughter. "You did say you wanted to travel in style," hollered Bill. "How's the weather up there?" squealed Ben. "You rotten skellies! You're behind this, aren't you?" If he'd had a fire, James would have been bubbling with rage. Bill gasped for breath. "What's the matter? I thought you wanted to travel by boat." "Not like that, wow, ah!" James cried out as the bow of the ship pitched up, then down in the waves. "Get me down!" "I thought you liked it up there," giggled Ben. "I hear nothing but screams of delight," smiled Bill. "Oh right, of course, because I absolutely sound delighted right now." James couldn't help but scream as the stern tilted downwards. Bill and Ben lost all composure, whooshing and wishing with laughter. James did look very funny stuck up on the deck, but James didn't feel happy at all. The deck was wet and he was sure he could feel his wheels sliding. He was scared and beginning to feel quite ill. "You two did this on purpose," he wailed. "Now someone get me off this boat or I promise I'll scream the whole docks down." Back on the ground, the men had finally managed to fix the points. They had worked all night long, and now all the delayed trains could get on their way. Bill and Ben got a severe scolding from the Fat Controller, both for the points and their trick, and scurried away shamefaced. Craigie lowered his hook and it was just being secured onto James when Gordon arrived. He'd been drafted to help move the backlog of trains. His mood changed from grumpy to amused when he saw James being lowered from the boat. Well, 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 laughed Gordon. "I did tell you boats weren't for engines. Did you travel in style like you said you would? Or were you stuck in a smelly, damp hole?" James didn't say a word. He felt quite seasick as Gordon shunted him out of the way. He didn't like talking about boats now. Other engines make jokes about how stern James feels about the subject, but he never sees the funny side. Who knows if he ever will.